Imagine two babies born today. One in Switzerland, where the per capita income exceeds $90,000. And the other in Sierra Leone, where it barely reaches $500. Over the course of their lives, one will have nearly guaranteed access to healthcare and education. The other will face daily power outages, underfunded schools, and a life expectancy 25 years shorter. How can such a vast gap exist when both are born on the same planet under the same global economic system? In the next few minutes, we'll break down 5 powerful forces that sustain this imbalance. Historical colonialism, geography, institutions, human capital, and globalization. We'll also look at what levers a country and each of its citizens can pull to disrupt this pattern and change the outcome.
For many of today's poorest nations, the starting line wasn't just behind, it was deliberately moved further back. Colonial empires didn't aim to build functioning economies, they aimed to extract as much as possible. Railways, ports, and even schools were designed to serve the colonizer, not the local people. Entire populations were enslaved, displaced, or forced into labor under foreign rule. When independence came, the damage wasn't undone. In fact, many countries inherited broken institutions, unstable borders, and economies built on raw resource export, with little infrastructure to grow beyond that. Meanwhile, the former colonial powers had already spent centuries accumulating capital, education, and global connections. Colonialism didn't just end, it transformed. Through debt, foreign influence, and corporate control, the legacy continued. It's like starting a race after others have already run half of it, and you're handed broken shoes.
Geography isn't destiny, but it does set the stage. Nations with access to navigable rivers, fertile plains, and temperate climates have always had an advantage. Trade flows more easily when a country has ports, flat land, and predictable seasons. Meanwhile, countries with deserts, mountains, or tropical diseases often face higher costs just to build and maintain basic infrastructure. A container of goods can cross Europe by train in a day, but in some regions, the same distance takes a week by truck. This doesn't mean geography is an excuse. It means some nations have to work twice as hard just to compete at the same level. Overcoming those natural barriers takes vision, investment, and often, help from others who've already made the journey.
Behind every prosperous nation are institutions that work. Courts that enforce contracts, governments that limit corruption, and policies that protect investment and innovation. When rules are clear and fairly applied, people are more likely to take risks, start businesses, and trust that their efforts will be rewarded. But when the system is unpredictable, when bribes matter more than merit, ambition dries up and growth stalls. Some countries moved quickly to build strong institutions after independence. Others struggled with coups, civil wars, or leaders more interested in power than progress. It's not just about having a constitution. It's about whether that constitution is respected. A country's potential is tightly linked to how just, stable, and trustworthy its systems are.
Wealth doesn't grow just from natural resources. It grows from people. Human capital means education, health, and the ability to contribute productively to society. Nations that invest in schools, teachers, and early childhood development tend to see the benefits for decades. When a child learns to read and think critically, that country gains a future innovator, leader, or entrepreneur. But education alone isn't enough. Culture also shapes how people view risk, savings, work, and time. Some cultures encourage long-term planning and reinvestment, while others may emphasize daily survival due to instability or poverty. Building human capital takes patience, but without it, even the best economic policies can fall short, because systems are only as strong as the people who sustain them.
Globalization promised opportunity, access to markets, technology, and capital. But for many developing countries, the reality has been more complex. Global value chains concentrate most profits in a few advanced economies. A shirt made in Bangladesh may sell for $30, but the factory gets only $2, while branding and logistics in wealthy countries capture the rest. The same happens with electronics, coffee, or raw minerals. Without moving up the value chain, into design, innovation, or ownership, poor nations remain stuck doing the hardest work for the smallest reward. Globalization isn't inherently unfair, but it isn't neutral either. Those with infrastructure, institutions, and education reap most of the benefits. The challenge is no longer just about joining the global economy, it's about rising within it.
Some countries defied the odds. South Korea, once poorer than many African nations, invested heavily in education, technology, and export-driven growth. Today, it's a global economic powerhouse. Meanwhile, others with similar starting points, like Haiti or the Democratic Republic of Congo, remain stuck in cycles of instability, corruption, and weak institutions. Vietnam rebuilt itself from war and poverty into a competitive manufacturing hub in just a few decades. Botswana used diamond revenues to strengthen governance and fund public services. These examples show that success isn't reserved for the lucky. It's the result of long-term strategy, leadership, and sometimes difficult reforms. Stagnation, too, is rarely accidental. It's what happens when opportunity is blocked by inequality, mismanagement, or short-term thinking.
Even within rich nations, not everyone benefits equally. Cities boom while rural areas decline. Tech workers thrive while factory jobs disappear. Inequality within countries is rising, and with it, frustration and political instability. That's why economists and governments are starting to look beyond GDP. Wealth is not just about how much a country produces, it's about who has access to that wealth, and what it does for their well-being. Some nations now track happiness, social trust, access to green space, or free time as indicators of success. Because what matters is not just growing the pie, it's how the slices are shared. Redefining wealth means redefining progress. And that's the challenge of the 21st century. True wealth isn't just numbers on a chart or digits in a bank account. It's about opportunity, dignity, and the power to shape your own future. It's built through systems, decisions, and generations, and it can be rebuilt when it fails. If we want a fairer global economy, we have to understand what created the gaps, and what can close them. Progress is possible. But it takes more than money, it takes will, vision, and people like you paying attention. If you found value in this video, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Wealth Lab for more insights into how the world really works, and how you can navigate it.